Bonjour, dear viewers, and welcome to a new edition of our program Africa Today. In today's edition, we are going to talk about Egypt ranked as the first in soft power influence across Africa. And we'll start with this report where oil production in Libya has been halted amid a crisis over the control of the Central Bank of Libya, triggering concerns of instability. More than half of Libya's oil production, or about 700,000 barrels per day, was offline, and exports were halted at several ports as a standoff between rival political factions over the central bank and oil revenue threatened to end a four-year period of relative peace.
Libya's National Oil Corporation said that recent oil field closures have caused the loss of approximately 63% of the country's total oil production as the conflict between rival eastern and western factions continues. The National African country's oil blockade has widened, with eastern leaders demanding western authorities back down over the replacement of the central bank governor, a key position in a state where control over oil revenue is the biggest prize for all factions. The crisis over control of the Central Bank of Libya threatens a new bout of instability in a major oil producer split between eastern and western factions that have drawn backing from Turkey and Russia, highlighting that the oil sector represents the backbone of the Libyan economy. NOC said restarting the halted oil fields will require huge costs and double technical efforts. It said the reasons for oil closure have nothing to do with the company, adding that its teams are assessing losses resulting from the closures. The NOC added in its statement that the repeated shutdowns have resulted in the loss of a large portion of the country's oil production, caused a deterioration of the sector's infrastructure.
And since floods swept away their home in eastern Sudan, Ahmed Hadab and his family have survived by drinking water mixed with milk from his last surviving goat.
Since floods swept away their home in eastern Sudan, Ahmed Hadab and his family have survived by drinking water mixed in with milk from his last surviving goat. Floodwaters from heavy rains that started surging in earlier this month have brought devastation across a country already shattered by 500 days of fierce fighting between the army and paramilitary rapid support forces. Now the natural disaster has spread destruction further than the conflict. Near the town of Tokar in the country's eastern region, which has so far escaped the violence, reporters saw people pulling each other out of the water onto the remnants of a bridge with ropes. At least 64 people from the area are missing. In Darfur, where millions are threatened with extreme hunger, the rain has damaged displacement camps and delayed the arrival of crucial aid, according to the World Food Programme. The United Nations estimates that overall more than 300,000 people are impacted by the flooding. It has brought cholera for the second year running, with 1,351 cases reported as of Wednesday, likely an undercount as the army-aligned health ministry struggles to access the large portion of the countries occupied by the RSF.
The World Health Organization chief said on Friday that Mpox vaccines were set to arrive in the Democratic Republic of Congo in the next few days to fight a new strain of the virus. We apologize for this technical problem in the report, and according to the report issued by the Business Insider, Africa, Egypt was ranked the first in the list of the top African countries with the greatest soft power influences over the world in the year 2024. The soft power source is based on 8 main pillars, which are business and trade, international relations, education, science, culture and heritage, governance, media and communication, sustainable future, and people and values. And indeed, Egypt is having a role in enhancing the developmental efforts in the African continent and in preserving the security and political stability throughout the continent. To shed more light on the issue, we are very much delighted to be joined over the phone by Ambassador Sou'ad Shalaby, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Ambassador Shalaby, good afternoon to you. Hello?
Hello.
Hello, Ambassador Shalaby, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
According to a report issued by the Business Insider Africa, Egypt actually was ranked the first in the list of top African countries with the greatest soft power influence over the world in the year 2024. Can you shed more light on that?
You mean the economy of Egypt?
Yes.
Yes, of course, Egypt has been ranked as one of the pillars of economic growth in the African continent, and it is widely known that it has, even though it is not an oil-producing country, but it is it's attracting more investments in the North African region compared to the Southern African region, and there has been many reports saying that the European Egyptian report, the last Egyptian European projects had been influencing the economy and boosting the economic growth of Egypt, especially that Egypt has been changing its investment portfolio, and it has opened the doors for private sector and for international investors in order to reach the stage of high productivity, high industrialization, high investment in raw materials and in industrial production. So this is that is why the ranking of Egypt has become much more than before. During the past few years, the growth of the economy of Egypt, although it has been suffering, the whole world was suffering from inflation and from unemployment, but the strategy that Egypt has been doing is to meet all these challenges and to put in front to attract more foreign investments in order to promote job creation and to face the climate changes that are happening in the world. So Egypt's economy is really doing great compared to other regions in Africa, and also focusing on agriculture and industry, and it has developed and it has increased the GDP growth during the 2023 and 2024. The net exports are increasing, and subsidizing the poor is also increasing. That means that it is a balanced economy, looking at inflation and looking at the job creation.
Yes. Actually, the soft power score is based on 8 main pillars: the business and trade, international relations, education and science, culture and heritage, governance, media and communication, sustainable future and people and values. In your opinion, Ambassador Shalaby, what are the main factors contributed to put Egypt in the first place in all of these domains?
Well, Egypt geopolitically has a very important geographical location in Africa because it is overlooking the Red Sea and the Mediterranean Sea, and of course the Suez Canal is linking both seas. That means that all the oil exports and all the marine industry, the marine production is passing through the Suez Canal, whether they are raw materials or finished goods, and so Egypt is like a hub for all of African countries, and it's linking the Europe and the West by its airports and its marine ports. Also, of course, the touristic and the historical history of Egypt, or the pharaonic history, is attracting more tourism to Egypt, and it is welcoming all the discoveries who are planning to dig into the history of the pharaohs. That means that it is an attractive place for tourism. It is an attractive place for investment. It is also it is linking three civilizations: the pharaonic, the Islamic, and the modern. So the Egyptian economy is very attractive because it has the raw materials that are available, and also by the IMF report, we have been doing very well during the past few years. We have been fighting the exchange of, we have been settling the dollar and the exchange rate between the dollar and the Egyptian pounds, and so it is much easier now to plan for the industrial investments in Egypt. The businesses are doing much better than before.
Ambassador Shalaby, do you agree that such an achievement enables Egypt to enhance its global reputation?
Excuse me, I didn't hear.
Do you agree that such achievement of being ranked the first in the soft power in Africa enables Egypt to enhance its global reputation in that field?
Of course, Egypt's soft power, whether it is in culture, in history, in tourism, in all kinds of, it is a hub for the Middle Eastern and African culture. So it attracts the different cultures to mix. Even the Eastern culture, the Chinese, the Japanese cultures are benefiting from Egypt because it is different than their cultures, and they have benefited a lot from the exploration and the joint missions of historical exploration of both civilizations, Chinese and Japanese and Egyptian. Also, of course, the European, the West have been also very interested in the Egyptian and the pharaonic civilization. So the music, the culture, the art galleries and the books, the book fairs, all the soft power of Egypt has influenced many of the tourists to come and see for themselves the biggest open museum in Luxor, for instance. And now we are going to open the new museum, the Grand Egyptian Museum.
Yes. How do you view Egypt's role in enhancing the developmental efforts in Africa and preserving security and political stability throughout the continent?
It is of course important to have the domestic.
I do believe that we did lose contact with our dear guest, Ambassador Sou'ad Shalaby. Ambassador Sou'ad Shalaby, thank you so much for your precious input. And our dear viewers, with that, we come to the end of this edition of Africa Today. I'm Shalaby. Thanks for watching.